it is not that summer that the word warm could have different connotations. It will be soothing for us. Honorable Governor of Punjab, Shri Gulab Chand Kataria ji, a leader in his own right in political arena. A leader who performed with deep excellence and commitment as Cabinet Minister in Rajasthan on several occasions. I know it because he was on the treasury benches, I was in the opposition as legislator. He guided all his actions by persuasive firmness, transparency, and accountability. But once convinced, he will not change his mind. Shri Rakesh Bharti Mitra, Chairman Mohali Campus Advisory Board, ISB, and member ISB Executive Board, and now most important, something I share with him, Vice Chairman Bharti Enterprises. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't share any vice with him because he has none. He has deprived me of this opportunity, but I share another thing that is common between us. We both enjoy our job. We are happy being vice. I have known him, but known his father more. When I was elected to Parliament in 1989, his late father, a distinguished parliamentarian, had great love for wood cars. So Pandit brothers in Connaught Place would make a car, Ambassador Contessa, for him to look like a Mercedes. I was privileged to share right seat with him. Now you'll ask me why I say right seat. Sharing a seat is good enough. As Chairman Rajya Sabha, when I sit in the chair, on the right is the government, on the left is the opposition. A remarkable human being whose commitment to areas beyond earning money make him stand out amongst leaders of the industry. His brief address spelled out everything, virtually leaving nothing for me to add. His association with this prestigious institution, I am sure, will bear fruits incrementally. Professor Madan Plutla, Dean, Indian School of Business, beware of him. He is a no-nonsense man. Shakespeare could anticipate him 500 years ago. Brevity, the soul of wit. Whenever I go to institutions and find a man like him, I tell the students only one thing. And what I tell the students is, you will suffer the pain of his presence all throughout on the campus. But once you take leap in the larger world, you will remember him every second, that he strengthened you so much that he created impregnable courage in you. So you will remember him with great pleasure and satisfaction. But for that, you have to leave the premises. But he will give you a parting lesson. If you leave the premises, he will tell you, keep on learning. Never stop learning. I've heard about him. I know of him. Personally, I'm meeting him for the first time. And I was reminded of my toughest teacher, whom I remember till date. We have another illustrious academician amongst us, Vice Chancellor, Punjab University, Madam Renovik. No, I must call you Dr. Renovik. I'll tell you why. My wife has doctorate in academics. And ever since she got it, I have made it a habit that it will be really a transgression of all virtuous activity if you don't address a doctor with prefix. So Dr. Renovik, I stand corrected. Distinguished audience, and most importantly, boys and girls, I'm for you here. It is an absolute delight to address this gathering. And why? You are young minds. You are young minds at the ISB. You are young minds at the moment participating in ISB Leadership Summit. Your segment is most significant stakeholder in governance and democracy. Our youth demographic dividend is envy of the world at the moment, and it is fuel to our growth engine, destined to accomplish a developed nation at 2047. I must appreciate the management for having crafted such a theme, and the theme is Leadership in India's Century. This bears, boys and girls, huge contemporaneous relevance. And why not? It is for the first time in history that Voice of India, Voice of India's Prime Minister, is heard with respect as never before. India has come to count. India has come to count in global affairs, consistent with its populace being repository of knowledge and wisdom, home to 1/6 of humanity. Never before we had that enjoyable moment as we are having now. Having been elected to Parliament in 1989, I faced a situation where our foreign exchange was $1 billion US. $1 billion. We have crossed 700 billion last week. What an accomplishment. 700 times something beyond a geometric leap. India is being looked upon as a nation that can resolutely address issues that are confronting the globe. And why not? India's G20 presidency, according to one and all in the world, has set a very high benchmark. But look at the outcomes. One, African Union was made a member of G20. Only European Union was before. I'll come to later. But Global South, most people like me had not heard of it. It's a name that resonates. And mind you, they are major contributor to the world in terms of population and GDP. International Solar Alliance, International Yoga Day, all have fructified for benefit of the world on account of one individual, India's Prime Minister. His vision, his farsightedness, his commitment, and therefore it has great contemporaneous relevance. Friends, I am under the watchful eyes of the Dean, and therefore will not much deviate from the subject, because marking is never on packaging, it is on substance. But marketing is on packaging. Am I right? But that marketing is not sustainable unless the product is matching. It has two parts: leadership and India's century. I will focus on both. Otherwise, I lose 50% of marks straightway. I don't seek to do that. To begin with, the Indian century. Bharat, our Bharat, is no longer a nation with promise. Some people have wrong notions that India has arrived. They are mistaken. We are no longer a nation with promise. The promise has been realized, fully exploited. We are a nation on the rise. The rise is unstoppable. The rise is incremental. And the rise is continual, and the rise is in various elements that matter to our growth. Let me advert to some aspects that make Bharat a land of hope and possibility. And before that, all of you know it. Just a decade ago, what was the mood of the nation? We were in a state of despondency and dejection. The daily public domain discourse was one of scams, corruption, favoritism. What has been transformed in a decade? There is all-pervasive mood of hope and possibility. And I had seen those days 34 years ago when world institutions, the IMF and the World Bank, used to be dictatorial like a teacher in a class for a student who has not done homework. And we were just meekly sitting. But look at what they say. We are getting accolades from International Monetary Fund. And the accolade is favorite global investment and opportunity destination. I have had the occasion to meet the head of IMF, enormously talented lady. And every time she talked of India, it was in these words. And why not? This is the ground reality. Our technological advancements, deep penetration and digitization are termed by the World Bank as a global role model, indicating by a statement that what India accomplished in 6 years is otherwise not possible in 4 decades plus. Our exponential economic upsurge makes Bharat the fastest growing large global economy. India has transformed in the last decade, becoming a $4 trillion economy with 8% growth potential, expanding infrastructure with 4 new airports and 1 metro systems built yearly. Every year, 4 new airports and a metro. There is daily addition of 14 kilometers of highways, quality highways, world-class highways, and 6 kilometers of railways. Digital technologies have enabled massive public infrastructure projects benefiting 85 million with housing, 330 million with health coverage, and 29 million small businesses will launch annually. When I talk to global leaders, I have to be a little careful, because the volume is so high, the numbers are so staggering, that instantly a person would believe I have just added 1 or 2 zeros. I have not. Because just imagine, in a country where you add 500 million bank accounts in the shortest time, I'll come to that later, you have to make people to believe, and you make people see so that they believe. India leads in digital transactions. Should I give the figure to you? Hold your breath. 6.5 billion monthly. There's the digital transactions. And has the 3rd largest startup ecosystem with 58 unicorns. With 800 global capability centers generating $60 billion yearly, there is significant expansion in education. Your chairman, vice chairman of the group is associated with this venture in a meaningful way, here and elsewhere. It is soothing for us all that Indian talent is increasingly relevant globally. You know it, young boys and girls, you know it. That Indian human resource is dominating global discourse when it comes to corporate heads. driving interest in mobility agreements. India now takes pride in its lunar and Mars missions, vaccine productions, and growing importance in semiconductors, as was indicated by Mr. Mittal. And engineering, he knows it out of experience, and you all will gather when you take a big leap in the public domain, larger domain. Manufacturing is the key to make us leap forward. All this has happened because of leadership. Government's historic continual third term after 6 decades focuses on growth through new initiatives. It will be interesting for you. These initiatives will concern all of you. They broaden your basket of opportunities. They will ignite your talent, exploit your potential, fructify your aspirations. These include creating 12 industrial zones. Industrial zone itself is a huge step, and 12. To boost manufacturing, prioritizing skill development, improving logistics, and expanding aviation. And this is not just one. It's a jump in sync with other institutions, stakeholders. Everything is converging to these developments, and therefore results will be seen. Mr. Mittal referred to green hydrogen mission. I am so thrilled by it. 19,000 crores were allocated by Government of India for green hydrogen mission. We are amongst the countries in single digit to focus on it. I know it will have to be negotiated through tough terrain. There will be headwinds, but the commitment is there. And by 2030, if I am not mistaken, we will have investment of 6 lakh crores and equal number of jobs. Who will provide these jobs? Your leadership will provide. You will be somewhere in the entire system to make success of this. Quantum Computing Commission, 6,000 crores were allocated. We are getting more into it. A technology which is close to your heart, 6G. It is in 2 phases. The commercialization will take, I think, from 2025 to 30. For a layman like me, it may not mean much, but for him and you, it will open enormous vistas of contribution, opportunities, changing the landscape of this country. These are the issues. All these can get cutting edge only by leadership. Without leadership, nothing happens. If we go into our ancient history, in the history of human war, if a leader collapses, white flag comes up. A leader is all important. And a leader does not mean leader of a country. It means leadership in every walk of life. It will be in a small office, in a branch office, in regional office, head office, everywhere on the board. India's engagement with world nations is crucial. Offering expanded markets and reliable supply chains. Our cooperation in green energy, urbanization, and emerging technology, including AI, reflection was there by Mr. Mittal. Electric mobility and semiconductors benefits global progress and strengthen collaboration. But to fructify these collaborations, to generate synergetic stand, a leader has to be well informed. A leader has to know about it. I had the occasion at one of the conclaves where 6 vice presidents from Africa were present. Our interest in that country, in agriculture, mining, and technology, can create wonders. Only our leaders have to measure up to that requirement. You are the future leaders. You are leaders in the making. Your role and job will be very different once you take the leap and carry the tag of ISB. It is not that we are celebrating India's century merely because India is going to be a force to reckon with, but we are and will be force for good in the world. That is fundamental. India stands for what? Our civilizational ethos, essence. What was the motto of G20? One world, one family, one future. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That's our belief. Therefore, India's rise in the world would mean global peace, global stability, global harmony. You are, as leaders in making, principal stakeholders to generate this ecosystem. Now, what do you need? A scenario which was not there when Honorable Governor was a young man, or Mr. Mittal was a young man, or the Dean was, or I was. I shouldn't forget Dr. Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar when she was. What we faced? There was no equality of opportunity. There was no equality before law. Meritocracy was on the back seat. And what has happened now? A great transformation has shaped. Everyone now is equal before law. No one is above the law. No one is immune from law. No one has immunity which was proclaimed from housetops earlier. कानून हमारा क्या बिगाड़ लेगा? अब उनको पता लग रहा है कि कानून कुछ भी कर सकता है. The strangled hold of कानून is reaching them. They are feeling the heat. The privileged pedigree is now no longer in existence, and that is the greatest boon to young minds, to boys and girls before me. You don't need favor. You don't need patronage. You are always concerned, would my case be handicapped because someone less meritorious has a contact? There can be patronage in favor of someone. Gone are those days now. That's a great gain for you. Second, which you suffered, and very painfully, was corruption. What do? A contract, a job was available only through the means where you have to grease the palm of someone. We label as corruption. But boys and girls, fortunately for you, we were not fortunate. Power corridors have been duly sanitized of corrupt elements, lying elements. Mr. Mittal rose by virtue of being an industry leader. There were people who extra legally leveraged decision making, where the industry leadership had no option but to bend. That doesn't happen now. Our governance is dictated only by principles of transparency and accountability. You are in that area. What does it mean to you? It means to you that you have an ecosystem where you can fully exploit your talent, your energy, realize your dreams and aspirations, because there is nothing that holds you back in a systemic manner. A great thing for you. Let me remind you something which I have seen myself as Governor of the State of West Bengal. COVID. It was a challenge to the humanity, a non-discriminatory challenge, and really difficult then for a population of more than 1.3 billion. But the Prime Minister visualized a mechanism to involve the people at large. We had our own vaccines, but we handed other countries by providing vaccines at that point of time. The handling by India of COVID pandemic has earned laurels to us, to our health workers, to our health warriors. But some were uncomfortable. The class is small. They are uncomfortable with anything good that happens in this country. Your leadership has to neutralize these forces also. Scientists are talking about climate change since 1970s. One thing which I never forget is the year 1979. You must be wondering why. I was married in 1979 to Dr. Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar. In that very year, I became a lawyer. And you will come to know easily once you Google. Law is a jealous mistress. So I got a jealous mistress for her. But that year, there was a film, Mad Max. It was a global sensation, as it talked about the end of the world due to climate change. No one was bothered. Despite 50 years of conversation, no one thought of harnessing solar energy. India's visionary leadership came to the rescue of the world. International Solar Alliances in Gurugram. More than 100 countries, I think 122 countries have already joined part with it. And our landscape all over the country is dotted by harnessing of solar energy. It was left to India, India did it. I have many reasons to say that India's century will prove to be a global good. Think what we have done with governance solutions. We developed various technological solutions for digital identity management. What's largest and fastest financial inclusion, I said earlier. 500 million bank accounts. When I wanted to become a lawyer, I needed a library, I needed 6,000 rupees. A man like me, throughout a gold medalist, had difficulty in getting a loan of 6,000 rupees. I still remember vividly face of a manager who said, I'll give you 6,000 rupees without a guarantee. I had none. That changed my life. And look what has happened. You people have everything at your door. You only have to look around, avail the opportunity, grab the opportunity, serve yourself, serve your family, serve society, and serve the nation. We made them open source for the world to use through our India Stack program. Now any developing country can use this solution free of charge. Not only this, Mr. Mittal will bear me out. The kind of products India has visualized are available to the world without any charge. As a matter of fact, this has graduated to our soft diplomacy, taking a new height. More than intellectual property, we are concerned how can we shorten the path of good governance for the countries of the global south. And we are contributing hugely in several countries. Friends, the more we rise, the more stability it will provide to the world order. The world knows it. Some misguided souls in our country do not share it. Either they fail to come up to the requirements of this great nation and its citizenship, or they are dictating their actions by narrow partisan interests, self-interest, in some cases, survival interests. This is India's century, friends, that is not desirous of hegemony or domination, but global public good. India is the only country in the world, and it has a history of 5,000 years, that has never engaged in expansion. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on record warning to the entire world, we are not living in an era of expansion. And that global disputes must resolutely be addressed through dialogue and diplomacy. Our journey, friends, is not over. We have so many things to assert. Economic upsurge, fifth largest global economy at the moment, third largest global purchasing power, on way to becoming the third largest economy ahead of Japan and Germany. All that. But we must be alive that to be a developed nation, our per capita income has to go eightfold. This is achievable. This is achievable because we have human resource in your shape that will bring it about. You are capable of it. And when you do it, you are opening a new basket of opportunities for employment, for entrepreneurship, and for growth. Our journey of progress is a work in progress. Nothing is given. To expedite this journey, India needs next generation leaders who can drive innovation and change. I am reminded of a Greek philosopher, pre-Socrates, Heraclitus. Heraclitus reflected, and is widely quoted, the only constant is the change. Change is the only constant. He buttressed it that the same person cannot enter the same river twice, because neither the person is the same, nor the river is the same. So we are in the process of change. But we don't have to be captive of change. We have to bring about the change which we need. And this happens to be more relevant when it comes to disruptive technologies. Artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, machine learning, blockchain. These at a time were just words for me. But I was enormously enlightened when I had a presentation by the senior ministry officials. And I know we are in for a big change. These disruptive technologies, as going by their name, are both challenges and opportunities. In the world of finance, RBI governor has hinted only a day or two before, we have to keep things in check for artificial intelligence. You as leaders will be creating opportunities out of these challenges. You are those who will be actual players when it comes to execution and implementation. Whatever be your role in the hierarchy, your mindset has to be ahead of times. I have no doubt. With your commitment, direction, and dedication, India will exploit its potential and make available leaders for global conglomerates and international organizations. Our footfalls have already increased. I remember there was a time when we could never imagine someone from this country would be CEO of an outfit in Silicon Valley. And now they say jokingly, can we have a CEO who is not of Indian origin? Just where we have come. All this because our DNA on this point is very strong. I must caution you. Don't look at leadership in a myopic way. Leadership is not with respect to your balance sheet in the corporate entity. Leadership is not limited to role of your sector. Like suppose you are in the telecom or a metal sector. You might look beyond your company, but you normally don't look beyond the sector. And it is there that my appeal to you. Business and leadership schools, the one like yours, have additional responsibility towards public and good governance. You have to give something back to the society. And you have to give back to the society something in a structured manner which is not individually specific. Imagine the benefit for a government department that receives policy, solution, inputs based on innovation and leadership training at B schools, your schools. In this country, there is a long and successful program of public-private partnership in infrastructure. We need public-private partnership in leadership and innovation also. I have long nurtured an idea. It has not taken wings. When the Vice Chancellor of Punjab University invited me for a convocation in my capacity as Chancellor, I made one fervent appeal and she has taken various steps in that direction. Alumni of institutions have great experience, great exposure, great expertise. Individually, they are talent. As a group, they are powerhouse. Why not use that for the nation? And I therefore mooted an idea. There must be confederation of alumni associations. They can well suggest to the government in the field of policy making. They can give direction to our economy. Because those framing those policies need all the inputs. They are not all in all. Sometimes a small suggestion can work wonders. I am sure some step will be taken. I will make one appeal to Mr. Mittal and to the Dean. We have leadership now constitutionally structured at village level. Because India is the only country that has constitutionally structured democracy at village level, at municipal level. Most nations have legislatures at state and central level. Now a Sarpanch plays a key role. A Pradhan plays a key role. A Jila Pramukh plays a key role. Their funds at their disposal. If they do not come up to the leadership expectations, the political head and the executive head will not be able to work in togetherness or in tandem. To generate that awareness, to generate that expertise, an outfit of your stature can certainly create a module, a training module, that will go a long way in helping them. Once some people come to know about the usefulness of it, it will be replicated on its own. But a beginning has to be made, because majority of Indians or Bharat is in villages. If their optimal utilization of funds can take place, if good trends can set in there, economy of the nation will also get a big leap. My young friends, I will be adverting to another important aspect. And that aspect is, I want to turn to a matter of national importance, and that is nationalism. The academia, the industry, leaders and students ponder here over the issue of leadership. I suggest you ponder over facets of leadership with Indian characteristics. Indian nation has to be kept at the center. Whatever we may do in any part of the globe, our heart and soul reside in India. And therefore, I urge the leadership should be deeply wedded to nationalism. Without this undergirding, without this spirit, no amount of leadership skills will serve the greater good of the nation. Such individuals can be successful. They can be known. But they will never be able to in that groove which earns respect to the nation. And I therefore urge everyone, serve your nation optimally. Serve your nation with full dedication. And this is uniform ordainment for all of us. It is not optional. It is the only way. You all are tomorrow's leaders. You will have an occasion to make decisions, key commercial decisions, and therefore, imagine if you think of economic nationalism while making decisions. If that spirit is there in you, you will immediately find great gain to the nation. I firmly believe no fiscal gain, howsoever great, howsoever quantum in economic terms, can be a justification, reason, or a compromise for nationalism. A fiscal gain should never be a consideration when it comes to economic nationalism. Economic nationalism is fundamental to our growth. It has been indicated, be vocal for local or Swadeshi. But I leave it with you and find out, once I'm gone, how much foreign exchange is drained out in avoidable imports. Billions of US dollars every year being drained out for import of shoes, socks, trousers, undergarments, coat, curtain, flooring, toys, kite, electronic goods, furniture. All that can happen in this country. I am not advocating parochial protectionism. The world doesn't countenance it. Mr. Mittal has been to global forums. He knows that this as a policy cannot be propagated. The World Trade Organization is there. But then it has to emanate from every soul in this country. Once you do that, not only you will save foreign exchange in billions of US dollars, you will create job for millions of people in this country. There will be blossoming of entrepreneurship. And on all these aspects, our quality is next to none. So you young leaders of just after a few months or years, be ambassadors of economic nationalism for the nation. It will be your lasting contribution to the economy of this nation. Friends, Mr. Mittal emphasized on manufacturing. It is critical. It is not only about manufacturing in India, but the idea is to research in India, innovate in India, design in India. The growth engine of the nation is fueled by research and development, you know it. The nations that are ahead in research and development march ahead. This makes focus on research and development of paramount importance. I don't want to say more, but industry has to do a lot in that direction. I'm yet to find a corporate of our country to be amongst top 20 global entities to be in that field when it comes to research and development. But I am urging industry and stakeholders and corporates to invest in research and development, handhold stakeholders in unleashing their potential and provide impetus to holistic growth of the nation. But I am worried on another aspect. Manufacturing is fine, sir. But what a painful scenario to face. Our raw materials leave our shores in shiploads. Look at iron ore being shipped from Paradip. Look at our precious products going outside without value addition. I appeal to young leaders to reflect what is writing on the wall. We are sending raw material because we are not capable of converting into value-added products. We are capable, but someone who has ownership of that raw material in a cozy room finds it expedient to make buck fast, sacrificing economic nationalism. In the process, he is coming in the way of your employment, your innovation, your skill development. It is here that trade organizations, commercial organizations, industry organizations must be on the same page. We must develop economic ethics that we will not export our raw material without value addition. Then we find another novel way of finding minimal value addition. Sir, I mean effective value addition. Once we do it, the economic scenario will show a big change. Well, I must reflect on a tribe to which I belonged, to which the Honorable Governor belonged. Now we are constitutional functionaries. The politician. The leader in the politician must also be fired by the zeal of nationalism. He or she should keep national interest above partisan or self-interest. In a democracy, partisan stance is unavoidable. People have to take partisan interest, partisan stance, partisan viewpoint, nothing wrong with that. But so on some issues, issues of national security, issues of foreign policy, issues of diplomacy, issues of nationalism, there is no room for politics. We all as Indians are ambassadors of our nation. And once we leave source of this country, we are its representatives. Our political hat has to be kept behind. But what I find, people take journey outside, trip to destinations just to find public space, to tarnish, taint, demean our progress and institutions. Young leaders have full capacity to neutralize these forces. These sinister forces, they are being activated by interests that are inimical to Bharat. It is surfacing. I had the occasion to reflect this morning on National Human Rights Day. They say, India, there can be hunger crisis. What are they talking? Since April 1, 2020 till now and for 5 more years to come, 850 million people of this country will be fed free meal. Rice and wheat and pulses are given to them. You know it, I know it. What are they talking about? Because some of us do not rise for the nation, but raise the flag only for political interest. We need to be guided. Discordant voices for partisan political purposes and gains is a matter of deep concern. I'm sure you youngsters would know it. A deep state and wokeism are taking shape in this country. Their strategy to begin with is very soothing. They make inroads. After having made inroads, they try to create disruptions, divisiveness in a nation like ours. You have to be extremely alert. It is here in such kind of challenging situations that leadership traits are called in action. Be prepared for that. Let me talk something about economy. There was a gentleman who occupied a prominent position in the Reserve Bank of India not long ago. Now this gentleman made a partisan assertion. I quote, the assertion was, India will be lucky if it can have 5% growth rate. During that contemporaneous time, India had 7.5% growth rate. To a layman like me, 5 and 7.5% make some meaning. But for the Dean and Mr. Mittal, even 0.01 matters. How wrong he was. But go to the background. Why did he make that statement? Why did he act in a manner only to bring down the healthy mood of the nation? And why were there no regrets? or any justification for having made that statement? In such like situations, leadership collective must be proactive and call these people to their bar. So, call to the bar, I mean I'm a teetotaler. I don't mean that bar at all. I'm a teetotaler, and I'm a teetotaler not under compulsion. I'm by volition. But to call to the bar for a lawyer is a normal term, therefore I used it. Just imagine how sickening you will find and how frightening it is that a member of parliament holding a constitutional position will troop to foreign universities and then in a small corner of which the university may not be aware, and a small group will try to set afloat a narrative that is dangerous to our unity, our institutions, our national interest. Handful of people. This is a large gathering, well represented. It means a lot to me. Not even a fraction of it. And such people, we need to handhold, counsel, and suggest in whatever form we can. And that has to emanate from young minds. Social media has given power to brilliant young impressionable minds to express themselves. Your silence on such kind of situations will ever resonate in your ears. Couple of years later, you will feel, why did I not voice my concern? If I had voiced my concern, then things would have been slightly better. And therefore, do it. If this mindset of placing narrow partisan interest over national interest persists, it will give space to whom? It will give space to those who are our enemies, inimical to our interests. Do we want it? Certainly not. Friends, we are at a leadership summit. Think how over the years leadership programs are used to indoctrinate young minds of the country by the deep state. I'll focus on it at some length, though briefly. I'll follow the dictum of the Dean, brevity the soul of it. I come across several people, including parliamentarians. I have been invited by Young Leadership Forum in the US. Some university has invited in that category. There's a sense of elation, a sense of joy. Beware, be cautious. Those who have been there earlier, where are they now? It's a subtle method of indoctrination. It is giving hard sugar to a diabetic patient. It is creating enemies of the nation from outside, only by making their life affordable. I can give instances of any number of young minds today. You may be envying their life, but they are parasitical when it comes to financial situations. They are greased and they act like robots. You have to be extremely careful about such a leadership programs which are all over there. Through institutional mechanisms, they do it. Fellowships, they do it. Visiting programs, university affiliations. By this, they've groomed them. They are brainwashed, indoctrinated. They themselves have not seen India. And they are painted as if we are crumbling. Far from it. But an individual committed to nationalism will be able to thwart these moves. Even by being a part of it, he will be able to stand on his own spinally and thereby neutralize such forces. Friends, as you move forward with many leadership initiatives through this institution, I want to leave you with two thoughts. First, I said earlier, instill nationalism as a part of leadership curriculum. It will be a foremost curriculum as a matter of fact. Groom leaders who place nation above all else. Second, create leaders who will find Indian solutions for Indian and global problems. Bring this talent to the service of governance, create solutions, create partnerships to resolve challenges of everyday Indian. We are here to work for the average Indian who has to be handheld and helped. My young friends, the nation needs you. It is India's century, the world needs you, but you will make this moment in history successful if you are deeply wedded to these values. In this endeavor, my very best wishes to you. In conclusion, I will say, I urge the Dean to accept my invitation that your students in batches can visit Indian Parliament as my guests. And if I am in town, I'll spend time with you. The gain is mine. I leave this place with full optimism and confidence. Thank you so much. Grateful for your patience.